Gun Sports Radio is sponsored by Love Radio Network. Welcome to Gun Sports Radio, all about shooting, hunting, self-defense, and more. Now, here are the hosts of Gun Sports Radio, Dave Stahl and Lance Pelkey.
All right, folks, welcome to Gun Sports Radio. This is show 42. Can you believe that?
We're moving.
We're rocking it,
doing
dude. Let me tell you. We got Mr. Hollywood is in the house. Lance is out on business. Michael Schwartz is on the line. We might want to put our headphones on in case he wants to dive in. He's out at the gun show out at Del Mar. How you doing, Michael?
Awesome. It's beautiful out here.
I'm sure it is. But, hey, we definitely got to throw a shout-out to Gators Sunglasses, brand new sponsor, American-made aluminum T6 70-75 frames, worn by Navy SEALs, official sunglass CrossFit Games. And they're actually worn by Michael Schwartz as well. So how you doing out there, bud? How's the show?
I'm doing great. I'm actually wearing my Gators right now. They're great glasses. The show's great, man. It was beautiful. There was a lot of people. It was probably about an average size. Wasn't too busy. It wasn't too slow. And, it's just really nice. We signed up 8 new members, which is fantastic. Got a bunch of information out there about what's going on and what San Diego County Gun Owners is doing. And it's just really great, man. Gun people are the best people in the world. And the gun show is always, really interesting. And, a lot of different vendors out here, a lot of local folks. And I love it. Love every minute of it.
All right. Well, you've got some real important news you want to get out there. And your lovely wife, Laura, got a phenomenal award after we finished the banquet the other night. Tell the folks about it.
Yeah, Assembly member Marie Waldron gave Laura a recognition award for all the work that she did on the Second Amendment celebration dinner at the Hotel Dell, and I thought that was really, really very nice of Marie Waldron. She's fantastic. She's running for county board here in San Diego. And it was really nice for her to recognize Laura. Laura really did so much work on that dinner and deserved that and more is when it comes to recognition. It's fantastic.
I totally agree, and I was so happy to see that was awarded. Well, before we let you get into it any farther, we got to definitely throw a shout-out to Gun Range San Diego at 7853 Balboa Avenue in San Diego, 10 to 10, 7 days a week, gunrangesandiego.com. Trust me, folks, it's the Nordstroms of gun ranges. When you go in there, they will treat you as if you own the place. I'm telling you, I've been in there myself. You go in there any of the 7 days out of the week, you're going to run into people that are there to help you. If they're busy, there's a reason. So, just take a deep breath. There's plenty of things to look at, see. And I think you got some kind of don't you have a simulator or some kind of a thing over there?
No, we're all range all the time.
I thought you had something there that you could look at or do.
Oh well, we got a new video game over there.
That's it, video game.
We got a new video game over there, the Police Trainer video game.
Are you any good at it?
I don't have time to play video games.
I didn't think you did.
One thing I wanted to point out, so at the meetings this month up in North County and South County and Central at the San Diego County Gun Owners meeting, I asked the question of the audience, who's our biggest foe when it comes to the Second Amendment? And I got a lot of answers: the media, the legislature, apathy. And I pointed out that there's a local group in town called the Lincoln Club, which is generally considered a center-right, right of center, I should say, political organization that focuses on pro-business candidates. And they last week endorsed Sheriff Gore for re-election. And which is horrible news. And I understand they're a business organization, but if everybody, when you go on your computers, check out SanDiegoCountyGunOwners.com and read our statement about why that was a bad idea. His CCW policies are in essence a ban on CCWs, and a ban is never good for business. And Joe, at the Gun Range San Diego, if people were able to get concealed weapon permits to be able to protect themselves outside of the home, wouldn't you sell more guns that are concealable and more holsters and more lessons? Absolutely.
I mean, it would open up a whole range of product sales. And we get those questions not all the time, but every now and then somebody comes in and says, hey, do you have this holster or do you guys carry that gun? And I tell them, like, well, there's, it's a concealable holster, but we don't carry it. We don't carry it just because, nobody has a concealed weapons permit, so it just takes up retail space.
Well, and what you would sell more than anything is education.
Absolutely. We do a lot more classes.
You would sell a lot more education. You would educate a lot more people if these laws and rules and regulations were lightened up a little bit. Nobody wants anybody to do anything dishonest or illegal, but we, as a public, we need to be educated. Hey, we got Duncan Hunter back on the line. How you doing, boss?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Not doing.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, we can hear you just fine. So,
all right, good to go.
How's your crazy end of the world doing? I mean, being in politics nowadays, man, that's got to be an e-ticket ride.
My son just had a 2.5-hour rugby practice in Encinitas, so I'm back in Alpine. I've been driving all morning long.
Oh, come on, dude. I know what that's all about. That's all I ever do.
Hey, Duncan, how was the golf tournament this past weekend? Or this past week?
It was fantastic. Sequan was fantastic. Their tribal council was great. We had a bunch of wounded guys out from Balboa and Camp Pendleton. It was my dad's 12th annual golf Wounded Marine Classic, right?
Sweet.
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, we just the wounded
for the guys.
Yeah, the Wounded Warriors. We just gave a motorcycle to a kid on KUSI this last week. And what Harley Davidson's doing, they're giving a brand new 2018 Harley Davidson motorcycle to a wounded warrior all across the United States.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great. That's awesome.
I know. It really, really, really is.
Well, when you talked to Lorenzo Nzunza, I think his name was, he was the guy that we had donated that membership to Gun Range San Diego for that golf tournament, and let him know we appreciate him being the winner on
recipient.
The recipient.
Yeah. So what is that? What do you do with? What's the purpose? I mean, it's for the Wounded Warriors. That's mainly what all the proceeds go to.
No. So what happens is for the Armed Forces YMCA. So what happens is somebody gets wounded, right? They have their arm blown off or something. They're then in Balboa Hospital. Say it's a 20-year-old kid. He's in Balboa Hospital for like a year and a half, 2 years. The military does not pay for the family of him, for his family to fly out and then stay at a hotel and have food. So imagine that you're from Missouri, from Mississippi somewhere, Texas. You got to fly out to San Diego and live here with your kid if you want to be around them and you have the resources to do so. So it helps supplement those parents, and it also helps guys fly home because their parents can't fly out to them here, so it helps them fly home, pays for them to fly home, see their parents over Christmas and that kind of thing. You also have the great Warrior Foundation here, which is a great group with Sandy Limcooler and those guys. So anyway, just kind of helps out with the things that the military doesn't provide for.
Well, let me throw something out there. A lot of people don't realize, and I didn't know about it till just recently, that if you're a frequent flyer and you do a lot of you can actually donate your miles to Wounded Warriors. And I think that's one of the biggest costs is getting people from point A to point B. So if you have a ton of extra mileage and you don't use it for anything, that's a great place to donate it to.
True.
Absolutely. So what else has been going on in the wonderful world of California?
Not California. So I'm a federal legislator. So number one, North Korea, Russia.
Oh, my.
Those are the two things we're looking at a bunch. Actually, to get down in the weeds, it kind of has to do with guns because we're trying to figure out how to shoot down missiles as they go up into the sky as opposed to when they're coming down. Yeah. And North Korea is only about 150 miles wide, so it's possible to shoot a missile off a drone and shoot an ICBM in boost phase. So I'm just trying to get my arms around that and trying to get that in front of the military guys, because that's really one of the only existential threats, meaning they could kill hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people if they ever were successful with their ICBM nuke project. So anyway, doing that. Obviously, we have healthcare, working on tax reform, just trying to dodge the fake news and keep Trump in line, get the border secured, and cut taxes and make healthcare in the free market again. Right. I mean, so we're doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, well, I know. And if the media would, I mean, they just did a report the other day, and I think the only media outlet was Fox that actually gave a 50-50 balance of news, where everybody else was 93 to 7.
The media.
It's terrible.
The media is in open war with this administration, and I think the government is in not open war, but the government is trying to subvert this presidency too.
Yeah, I think it's embarrassing.
Some really crazy stuff going on, but with our intel communities turning on Trump,
right.
The Department of Justice turning on Trump. What do you do if you're the president and you're being usurped from within, by the deep state, as some people call it?
Right.
Yeah, it's a scary time. It's really interesting, especially with all the nuclear stuff going on.
Oh, right? let me tell you. But you know what? I think we got the right man in the chair. I don't care what anybody else says. If they would just stop and listen to what he says, not what he says, because a lot of things he says,
how he says it, right? How he says it, but what he says, right?
Or better yet, go read the book. His book, and then after you've read his book, then you'll understand it. But yeah, I know, I totally get it. Well, hey, anytime you want to do anything with Wounded Warriors. And if you need my help putting a motorcycle show or a car show together, that way I can bring it to KUSI and get you just a bucket load of exposure. All you have to do is reach out, my friend.
Oh, great. Well, thanks.
All right, man. Hey, we're going to go ahead and let you go. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you very much. And we look forward to talking to you down the road.
Hey, guys. Thanks a lot. God bless.
God bless here.
Have a great day.
All right, we're going to take a small break. When we come back, we got a whole lot more right here on Gun Sports Radio, AM 1170, The Answer.
AM 1170, The Answer.
The Hometown Advantage.
Folks, hey, welcome back, Gun Sports Radio. I'm Dave. He is Hollywood. Lance is off today. And we want to thank the good folks at Trident Gunsmithing for all their support. TridentGunsmithing.com. They'll do everything. I mean, these guys actually will work on them. They'll build them for you. They'll custom build them if you want special etching. And they sell guns as well. They sell Glocks. They sell bags. They sell holsters. You need to go down to the Trident Gunsmithing and talk to Juan and Dan and tell them that you heard it right here on our show, Gun Sports Radio. Right now, we got John Dillon on the line. John, how are you today, sir?
Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm doing well.
Well, we're trying to survive without Lance and Michael, but I think Hollywood and I are going to be able to pull that off.
I think we can.
Down the fort.
I think we can.
So, how many fires did we have to put out this week?
Well, it was a big one this week, and I can't say that it's been put out, unfortunately. So to give everyone a little bit background, last week, the DOJ finally submitted their assault weapon regulations that they should have submitted back January 1st. And these regulations, basically, they are how the DOJ interprets the new laws that were passed regarding assault weapons in California last year and how they're going to enforce those laws. Mm-hmm. So it sheds light on exactly, what people can and can't do and how things must be done according to the DOJ when it comes to these weapons. So they submitted them last week, but unfortunately they submitted them in file and print only to the Office of Administrative Law, which means that they were not available for public review. People could not look them up. People couldn't see them. And apparently the reports go that the DOJ went so far as to refuse to release them on initial requests. But the Firearms Policy Coalition last week, they were able to obtain those regulations, and they published them around May 19th. And so now we have the first official glimpse into the mind of the DOJ when it comes to assault weapons in California.
So what are some of the highlights?
I was going to say, I haven't seen it. What does it look like? Is it ugly?
Ugly would probably be an understatement. It's not too different from the original proposed regulations that they submitted back in December and then later withdrew. But there are changes, and every change in these regulations is a significant one. So I highly recommend that people go and find these regulations and read through them. Every line is important, but we'll go through a couple things today that'll shed some light, at least, on where things are where they're headed for all of us evil assault weapon owners in California. So to break it down, because there is a lot of stuff, I'll say this. Obviously, we have till December 31st, 2017 to register a firearm that meets the new assault weapon definition in California. Now, that is under that new definition, any rifle or shotgun that people have owned that use any type of bullet button or magazine lock is now considered an assault weapon. So you have till the end of this year to register those. In the regulations, they discuss how there are such things as featureless rifles and shotguns. Basically, these are the firearms where you remove all the evil features that are listed and that identify a gun as an assault weapon in California, and that will not be considered an assault weapon. To review that's a collapsible or folding stock, a pistol grip, a forward vertical grip, or a flash hider. I want to highlight a couple other issues. So, according to the WISE DOJ, with AR-style rifles, you have the upper and lower receiver. If you separate that upper and lower receiver from each other so they are not touching and they're completely separated, it is not considered a semi-automatic firearm, and therefore it is not an assault weapon. So if you disassemble your rifle and take out the two pins and separate it, we're not going to be considered evil felons. But if you stick them together and don't register it, you might be considered one, so that's a good thing to note. It's kind of scary how these little tiny insignificant differences will, either give you a felony charge or, continue on. You'll let you continue on as a free man.
Jeez. I just got a text from Lance, and he goes, John, Marietta, California is now allowing concealed carry. Expensive, but concealed. What do you know about that?
That's the first I've heard about that. But, hey, if another county is now allowing concealed carry, I'm assuming this is based off of self-defense purposes or for good cause. And if they're allowing that, that's great. I think that's fantastic. People should be allowed to, carry concealed.
Is Marietta in San Diego County, though?
Yeah, Marietta is just right up there by Temecula.
Yeah, it's up near Temecula.
Yes, it's just north of Temecula.
Yeah, so maybe their chief of police is actually signing concealed weapons.
I guess it looks like it. That's the first I've heard of it, but I'm sure we'll hear more in the upcoming weeks and everything like that.
Right.
I did want to also talk about how under these new regulations, we have just a word of caution for people, because these are some things I've seen people try to attempt to do to, comply with the new laws. But if you take your magazine release or the magazine catch assembly off of your rifle to where it just doesn't have one, that's still considered a detachable magazine under the laws. So that's not a way around the new regulations. So anyone who suggests that you do that or says that's okay, I do not follow that advice. Yeah, but it's kind of, I'm trying to pick out the stuff that really will matter for people. Oh, here's one. Stripped AR lowers, so the lower receivers that have no parts or accessories attached to it that you can just buy bare and strip, they are not considered semi-automatic firearms, and so it is 100% perfectly legal to buy a stripped lower receiver in California still. I know a lot of people assume that wasn't the case, so I wanted to make that clear that you can buy a strip lower. You just have to make sure you buy it according to the California state law, and then also when you build up that rifle, make sure that it either is fixed magazine compliant or featureless compliant if you don't want to get on the wrong side of the law there.
No, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, the deal is, it's not like you can retroactively, like go buy a strip blower and then build it like they were last year and then register it as an assault weapon.
Exactly. They're not going to allow registration of firearms that weren't lawfully purchased and owned before December 31st, 2016. So you can't buy a strip lower receiver now and build it up and then try to register it as an assault weapon. They will not allow that.
Well, then what do you do with it if you buy it?
Well, if you buy it, you either have to complete it as a featureless rifle.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Or you have to make it to where it has a fixed magazine.
Gotcha.
And the other thing here, this is probably going to be the worst news you hear, but if someone wants to register as an assault weapon, you cannot change the release mechanism after you register. So even though you register it as an assault weapon, you can't take the bullet button off. You can't take the magazine lock off. They're considering that to be a separate category of assault weapon under these regulations. I don't agree with that. The law that was changed, there's only one category of assault weapon in that instance, and I think the DOJ is overstepping in this instance. But yeah, so even if you register as an assault weapon, you can't go and then take your bullet button off. They also specifically highlight the little magnets. Have you ever seen those where they lock onto a bullet button and allow you to depress the magazine release? Those are going to be considered detachable magazines. So that's not a way around it at all.
All right. Well, let me ask you a question, John, before you make me totally throw up here. What are the repercussions? I mean, what is the enforcement side of it? I mean, is it, like I say, you decide not to apply, to go by the laws, and you just decide to heck with you, I'm not going to do it. It's not like they're going to come hunt you down. Is it where you would get yourself in a situation where if you did get in trouble, then you would get in real trouble because you have a gun that's not legal?
That's more of the situation that will occur. They're not going to start, knocking on your door saying, "Hey, we didn't get your, registration."
Yeah.
It's more, you're going to be going to the range, or you're coming back from the range. You have your gun, and they pull you over for, speeding, but then they see you have a rifle case in your back seat or something like that. And those charges will tack on. And when it comes to assault weapons in California, these are significant charges. We're talking about felonies. And, if you built up your rifle in the wrong configuration, that could be considered manufacturing an illegal assault weapon.
And ignorance is no excuse?
Yeah. And then you also have possession of an assault weapon. So that's 2 charges for one rifle that you just built wrong. So people really have to pay attention if they want to make sure they're not breaking the law here.
Well, they should call you first.
Yeah, definitely. You can always call my office. We're more than happy to help people figure out what they need to do. Second, I want to say this. There's 2 silver lining type rules that we got in here in these regulations. They do, under these regulations, they're going to allow for joint registration. So if a husband and wife both want to register as the owner of one assault weapon, that is going to be possible. Obviously, there's the age requirements. You got to be over 18, and then you also have to be in the same house. So and you have to show proof that you both live in the same house in order to jointly register. And they do allow immediate family, but again, everyone has to live in the same house for that to apply.
Gotcha.
The second one is they allow for voluntary deregistration. So I know everyone is a bit upset. When you register an assault weapon under California law, you are no longer able to transfer that firearm or even pass it down when you die, and that's a big deal. A lot of people, they buy these guns, and they want to be able to pass it down to their kids or even eventually sell it down the road when they get tired of it. But if you register an assault weapon, you can't do that. However, they do allow voluntary deregistration. It's a bunch of paperwork. You got to show proof that your rifle is now in a compliant configuration and all that, and then they send you a confirmation letter. And we're talking about the DOJ, so this isn't going to happen over the course of a week. This is a couple-month-long process. But after you do that, it is possible to sell the firearm. So out of all the regulations, the joint registration and voluntary deregistration is probably the only positive notes in the whole thing. There's very little benefit people get out of registering as an assault weapon. You don't get to take the bullet button off.
Right.
So you hear a lot of, you hear the NRA is suing and California Rifle Pistol, they're putting through paperwork. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel that these things may get overturned or changed or anything like that?
Yeah, it's entirely possible. It's going to be a tough and long road, I'll tell you that. I mean, nothing that goes through the courts happens quickly, but, it is possible. I truly believe the law is on our side. And
Persistence.
We may have to file suit 10 times, but eventually I think it will come out the right way.
I think you're right. They just want us to go away and forget about it, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's the important thing. People can't give up.
Hey, do you want to stay? You want to stay on the line, or have you got hobbies to do?
Nah, I can stay on the line today.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a break, folks. That's Gatsky, Dillon, and Balance, LLP. Call them at 760-431-9501 or go to www.cafirearmslaw.com if you want your butt protected. We'll be right back. We're taking a small break right here on Gun Sports Radio.
AM 1170. The Answer.
Folks, welcome back to Gun Sports Radio. I'm Dave.
And this is Hollywood.
And Lance is off today. Michael Schwartz, are you still on the line? Oh, no, they threw him out.
Yeah, they kicked him out of the gun show.
Yeah, because they wanted to get him out of the gun show. He was out at Del Mar. We want to thank Gators Sunglasses. Shop online, www.gators.com. They got a special discount for the month of May. So make sure you get on there, snag yourself a pair of sunglasses, and the money goes to a great cause. I don't have the paperwork handy, but I think it was a military, if I'm not mistaken. So make sure you check out Gator Z's. Also, 511 Tactical. So I'm watching the NASCAR race. Was it the NASCAR race? No, it was drag racing.
Okay.
And 511 Tactical sponsoring a NASCAR or a drag racer, which was good. I can't think of the name off the top of my head who it was. All right. Hey, this is Gun Range San Diego, 7853 Balboa Avenue in lovely San Diego, 10 to 10, 7 days a week. GunRangeSanDiego.com. In fact, didn't you say something about they've got a big Glock sale going on over at Gun Range San Diego?
Well, we just finished up Glock Days last weekend, and it was a huge success. We had the guy from Glock down there,
Mr. Glock.
Mr. Glock. He was a Glock armorer. Brought the mobile armory with him, and we had a big display set up. Coffee, donuts, and we were installing night sights for $60.
Jeez.
Super cheap. And we ran through all the stuff that we prepped for that, and the boss is like, all right, just more. So people for that whole weekend, whatever the customers wanted, they got, and it was a great weekend. And the great thing about that is everyone who bought a Glock during that weekend, they got a ticket, and next month they get to come back, and the Glock armor is going to come back again, and it's going to be a before we open type deal. So it's going to be a private event on the range, shooting their Glock, learning everything they want everyone to learn about Glocks from the Glock guy out there on the range
for free.
Yeah, for free. Yeah, it was part of the
part of the deal.
Part of the deal. Yeah, so they got a Glock so low we couldn't even advertise it.
Yeah, and you're saying,
and now they get a free class on top of that.
Wow. Now what? Now does Glock normally do that? Or is this just something new?
That's just something that we, Glock does a deal where, if any gun store, they say, hey, I want the Glock guy to come out and, meet my customers and work on guns and that kind of thing.
Sure. And
they'll come do that. And, but we got to talking to the Glock armor, and we were just trying to, do something special. And he suggested, hey, why don't we do this? And we were like, well, can we go this way or that way? So, it was just
one thing led to another.
Exactly, and then bang! Now we got an extra event coming up next month for that.
How cool is that?
It's really good. And I tell you, this weekend or until the end of May, for the rest of this month, we are selling Springfield XDs, normally $499 for $100 off.
Wow, no kidding.
25%, basically 20% off.
Yeah.
$399. I think it's like $452 out the door. Right. It's ridiculously low. And those things are flying out because they're such a great gun, and people love them. And the price is ridiculous.
Right,
$399 for a Springfield XD.
It's crazy.
And then you couple that. We call it our dual armed event because you couple that sale with what Springfield is doing, and you buy any handgun from Springfield. Send in your receipt. Go online and register, and they send you 4 free magazines, a holster, and a magazine caddy. And it's. So basically, you're getting about $680 worth of gun and gear for $452.
And that's a XD.
XD, yep. It's one of the more popular striker fire style handguns.
I got one like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I got one like that.
Exactly like that. And so we're having a great event down there this week. We got speaking of Springfields, all of our M1As are on sale, $75 off, and we have it in every configuration. We have the standard, the SOCOM 16, the Scout Squad, which are all different. The SOCOM 16 has a 16-inch barrel,
right.
The Scout Squad 18-inch barrel, and then the standard has a 22-inch barrel.
Okay.
We have them in flat dark earth, black, wood. We got them all. You name it, we got it. And, so come on down there.
Well, here's the other thing I want to throw out here for Gun Range San Diego, folks, because I talked to a lot of people about this show, and I talked to a lot of people about Gun Range San Diego. And what I notice more than anything is people are hesitant because they don't know enough about the industry, and they're embarrassed to go ask. For example, I asked a guy the other day, well, if you could get a firearm, what would you get? He says, I have not got a clue. Which tells me that's why he needs to go to Gun Range San Diego. And this is not a commercial. This is the truth, folks. You walked in there, if you told anybody in that building that, hey, I'd like to have a personal firearm, but I have not got a clue, you guys will spend as much time necessary
absolutely.
To get you the right one if you have to shoot every gun in the house.
Right. Well, and that's a great thing about the Gun Range San Diego is we do have the range. So somebody come in and say, I definitely want to purchase a gun. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want. So there's a lot of questions you ask. What's the purpose? How often are you going to shoot? There's a wide range of questions that you ask first, and then once you get those answers and you kind of narrow them into a general direction, they might give them 4 or 5 different options to fit their scenario.
Right.
And the great thing about it is if they still can't make up their mind, they just go right over to the range, and more often than not, we'll have that gun for rent on the range, and they can go shoot them and figure out which one they like.
Right.
And even if you've never shot before, we get that a lot too. We get people come in and, like you said, they're kind of timid, like they almost whisper to you, like, "Hey, we want to rent a gun, but we never shot before." Yeah. And we're like, and I'll get loud, I'm like, "It's okay, it's all right." We love first time shooters, so even if you've never shot before. The guys over on the range counter are going to make sure you understand safety, first of all, before you go out there. And unlike most ranges, we have 2 range safety officers walking the line at all times. Anytime you're out there, any questions, any concerns, just wave them down. They'll come over, answer any other questions that you have. Right. And I love it's a really fun deal when somebody comes in and they say, I don't know, I'm unsure. And then 2 hours later, they're leaving. This thing is awesome. This is exactly what I wanted. Exactly. And they go from unknown and unsure to confident and happy. It's you get to see that transformation. It's awesome.
See, like I told you when I bought my wife, I bought a Mossberg 500 and I bought a 9mm Smith & Wesson. We bought it from this gun range or gun store. She never touched the gun. Never touched it. There was no class. There was no, let me show you how, none of the above. So by the time I get it home, she never, like we've had this conversation 27 times, she'd never racked it or, to put a round in the chamber. She can't do it. So Manny, I know at the range, he's got a trick set up. He's going to show her how to do it. But it still bothers me to this day that I spent the money and really got no service.
Yeah, I don't know how you sell a gun to somebody without putting it in their hands first. I mean, granted, some people do come in, they say...
Well, if you come in and you say, I've been shooting my whole life, that's another story.
Or if they just come in and say, I'm looking for this, ABC gun, do you have it? Sure do. Yeah. Bring it up. Oh.
I specifically said I'm buying this for my wife.
Yeah.
And to think that...
And if you were to walk in to Gun Range San Diego by yourself and say, I'm buying this gun right here for my wife.
I know exactly what you say. Go home and get it.
Go home and get your wife. Go home and get your wife. It's like buying your wife shoes. You don't do that.
I know.
It's a a gun is a very intimate and personal thing, and they need to be in there. It's like buying your wife a bowling ball and with your name on it.
I know. And the thing of it is, guess where it sits? It sits in the gun safe, and it has not left since I bought it. Yeah. Why? Because she don't like it.
There you go.
She can't shoot it, so, what's the point of, so, I've got that to deal with as well. But I wanted to just bring that up because talking to Manny and talking to the folks, and I've talked to people that have actually gone in that didn't know anything, because I tell people, go in. Oh, man, I don't know. No, I don't know what I want to do. No, I really want to, but I don't, just go in. And I've had two come back out and say, dude, that was the best experience I ever had.
That's awesome.
And that's what this is all about. Not only the radio show, but Gun Range San Diego and Trident and John at the law office.
Yeah, it's,
it's all about service.
Yeah, Mike Schwartz said it really, really well earlier. He said, gun people are the greatest people. Yeah. And, and when you don't need to be shy or scared or intimidated. Because, at least not for the Gun Range San Diego. You come in, and we want more people in our
no
in
intimidation whatsoever.
Yeah, we want more people, and you don't get more people enjoying shooting and into the shooting community by being a jerk or being obnoxious or anything like that. You do it by education, teaching, understanding, and it's the
only way to fly.
Absolutely.
Right. Last quarter is open mic. You can talk about anything you want except horses. I don't know nothing about horses, but I got stories. All right, folks, this is Gun Range San Diego. No, it's not. Gun Sports Radio. The names are so close. Have you noticed that?
I have.
I like that. But, hey, it's brought to you by Gun Range San Diego, and we can't thank them enough. 7 days a week, 10 to 10. Go down and check them out right here on AM 1170.
The Answer.
AM 1170, The Answer.
All right, folks, welcome back. Gun Sports Radio. I'm Dave.
This is Hollywood.
And we are rocking it out right here on AM 1170 because it is The Answer. And we want to thank our good folks, Trident Gunsmithing. Go to TridentGunsmithing.com for all your repair needs and pretty much anything and everything else you need. Great bunch of guys. The craftsmanship that comes out of that joint. Everybody on this show has had something done at Trident Gunsmithing, so you do need to check them out. We also want to give a shout-out to Gators, Sunglasses, 511 Tactical, and a special thanks to Gun Range San Diego. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And, of course, our big lawyer friends, John Dillon at Gatsky. I have to get it right. I always put him first. Gatsky, Dillon, and Balance. For all of your needs when it comes to the law and gun ownership, always better to ask first. Do like Hollywood does. He's got a speed dial for Dillon just so he doesn't get in trouble. Well, you can't afford to make a mistake.
No, especially not in, when you have your FFL, your livelihood on the line. You can't afford to make a mistake.
Because they will take it away from you.
Absolutely. And just as important is, people don't know where to go a lot of times. So what they do, what do? They go to their local gun store and that kind of thing. And the great thing about John Dillon is he's always available because he understands that. And so when you come in, I'm not reading you, if you come in and ask me something about any of the laws or any of the legislation, if I don't know, I'll come out and tell you I don't know.
Right.
But if I do know, it's because I've done the research. I've talked to, John Dillon or alike and got, I'm giving it to you straight, real. No internet.
There's no benefit to BS. No benefit.
Well, people get on the internet and think that, it was on this website, so it must be right.
What?
Well, that was something exactly.
You mean everything on the internet's not true?
Isn't it horrible?
Oh my gosh! I thought Facebook was gospel.
Exactly, and that's my buddy says blah blah. Well, if your buddy's not a lawyer, even if he is a lawyer and he doesn't specialize in this type of information, you might not be getting the correct information. So that's a great thing about those guys over there, and they keep us straight and they help us.
And that's half of running Gun Range San Diego is information.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you start giving out bad info, guess what? Oh, don't go there.
Yeah, don't go there. Those guys
don't know what they're talking about. I just got arrested, and when I get out. No, but and I think that's, service is always the key to sales, to any industry. But I think when you're thinking of purchasing a gun or ammo, right, your service has better be stellar, because that's what you want when you go down that road, I think.
Well, and that's what we do. That's I think I told you, we talked about it before, where, when I first interviewed with Gun Range San Diego, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, and that was their thing. They said customer service is number one, and that's like it, that. And they
haven't deviated.
Not even a little bit. And we do our quarterly meetings and that kind of thing, and that's always the first thing we talk about and the last thing we talk about. Right. We had a great guy in today, and I can't remember his name. I think it was Dean, but I'm pretty sure I'm getting that wrong. A local law enforcement guy, and he's in there, and we're just talking, shooting the breeze. And I didn't know he's in workout shorts and shirt, and brought his guns in to shoot a little bit. And he had some questions, and I answered it, and luckily Veronica was there today, and so I got to pull her out because
working on Sunday.
Yeah,
what's that girl doing?
She works all the time. She gets out there. She don't just sit in the office and.
Wow. Well, I know she's outside signing people up in the mornings.
Exactly.
I see her. Well, she's involved.
And that's how, and
that makes you involved.
Exactly. And if the person who signs your paycheck is out there being polite to customers, you better doggone bet that the rest of us are out there being polite to customers.
Yes,
and don't let a customer complain about bad service. Now, if it's something that has to do with the law or something like that, that's just the way it is. We can't break the law.
Right.
But if it's a bad attitude problem, I can guarantee you, Veronica, she fixes that quick, fast, in a hurry.
Yeah.
But we had this guy today, and he just he's like, "Hey, before I leave, I just want to let you know." He goes, "I'm law enforcement, and and every time I come in here, you guys go above and beyond. It's the best customer service I've ever had, best gun store I've ever been in." So I'm like, I had to drag the boss out there so she could hear that. I'm like, give her some positive feedback as well.
Oh, hey, I forgot. Dylan's on the line. He wants to call. Sorry about that, John. I'm glad you could still text. Yeah, go ahead. Jump in there, Sunshine.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Oh, we're just BSing. We forgot about you. See, that's why you need to come in.
Yeah, I know. Well, hey, I just wanted to cover a few more things regarding the new assault weapon regulations. First of all, I know that there's a ton of products that are coming out that are attempting to comply with the letter of the law and the new regulations. And I do want to highlight the fact that although the regulations do not address any specific product that has come out, the theory that is kind of being used seems like it has been approved in some sense. But basically, when the DOJ defines disassembly of the firearm action, because that's the new language that determines whether something is a fixed magazine or not. Mm-hmm. They do use an example, saying, removing the back pin from a AR-style firearm and lifting the upper receiver forward using the front pin as a fulcrum before the magazine can be released is considered disassembly of the firearm action. So that kind of definition that they just use, or description of tipping that upper receiver up, is what a lot of these products are attempting to do. Again, I want to caution people, that doesn't mean that certain products have specific DOJ approval. They haven't come out and approved any product, but it does seem that they included this language because these products are out on the market and they know of them, obviously. So that's something to consider when you're trying to figure out what options you're wanting to go, and whether or not you just want to alter your firearm so it is not considered an assault weapon, or you just want to go ahead and register it. The other thing I wanted to talk about is just the registration process itself. It's going to be on the CFARS system online, and that should be available soon now that the regulations are out, but again, no guarantee. But I do want to stress this. They are going to be asking for all your personal information: height, weight, sex, address, description of the gun, and description that IDs it uniquely, to quote the language. The big problem with this, though, and I'm sure you guys will understand this is it wants the name and address of the individual or business from which you bought the firearm when you register that assault weapon. So I don't know about you, but I don't think everyone remembers the gun store they bought the gun from 15 years ago. You can't always remember the name of the guy you legally purchased a firearm from 5 years ago. So that may cause a lot of problems with people trying to register if they don't have that information. So that could be a big problem.
That is ridiculous, is what that is. How, especially we do PPTs, person-to-person transfers here in California, and it's perfectly legal. For me to sell my gun to Dave, or Dave says to me, and because you go through the same background check and everything, the store holds onto the gun for the 10 days. But if I bought something 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 3 years ago, I don't remember what was the guy's name, Doug. It's not we stay in touch if I buy it off the internet or something like that, off of Cal Guns.
But
or
ignorance is no excuse, right?
Well, I don't think that's ignorance. That's just ridiculousness.
Well, yeah, I think they're just asking a little too much there. Rarely do people keep that detail of records. They may, remember when they bought it, or, I was in this city, or I was living in this location when I bought the firearm. But, especially if it was a one-time private party transfer that went through all the necessary background checks, but, you never met the person beforehand. It's not like you became best friends with them. So rarely do you write the guy's name down that you bought the gun from and
well, wait a minute.
Away.
Don't they have record of that? If you were to if I was to buy a gun from Joe, wouldn't they have all that information?
That is, that information is taken down when, the transfer is made, but, the individual doesn't just have access. They can't go down to the gun range and say, hey, I need you to look up a gun I bought 10 years ago, while you're free. And I know that the Hollywood over here, he's not going to be too pleased when people are demanding that he look up all the records to find out, Joe Smith who sold this gun on this date. That's going to be a pretty tall order to fulfill.
It's huge because, we sell so many guns a day, and then we keep, hard paper copies of all that stuff. But, we literally have a warehouse that we, because we have to keep it for a certain amount of time. And we literally pay to rent a warehouse to store all these things. And there's no way. If you don't, there's no way. No way I would.
Well, they're just using for another excuse to trip up the whole program.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a massive amount of problems.
Oh, man. John, thank you very, very much. We appreciated you taking time out of your day. That was a lot of talking.
No problem.
But, hey, we need it, man. I'm telling you, we got to stay one step ahead of these guys.
That's a true story.
Hollywood, excellent job as always. We look forward to having you on today, and it was a blast. I knew it would be.
Oh, I love it. So Lance can go on vacation more often.
Yeah, we'll send him on a trip. So you're due back next week. Michael Schwartz as well. Folks, don't forget, join San Diego County Gun Owners Association. It's really important. Go down to Gun Range San Diego and have some fun with Joe.
And the show's on the San Diego County Gun Owners website now.
So go check it out. All right, folks, we're out of here.
Gun Sports Radio is sponsored by Love Radio Network.